Hi guys, welcome to the Honest Perfume Reviewer. This is my first video like for a whole month. Sorry about being gone so much. I've been new at work and I've been really busy with that, and I've just focused on that. It's been hard. It's been really hard to get into new industry, and I'm still kind of on the bench. I thought I would have gotten into it by now and like had a daily routine kind of like when I get to work, I know exactly what to do. It's not quite worked out like that, but I really like the company. I really like my colleagues. I think it's interesting what we do. Like we're working with a lot with, cybersecurity and helping people kind of at a strategic and maybe like tactical level, not so much the nitty gritty details. Like nobody at my job is like a programmer really. There are some people that work with, their analytics, have analytical type of jobs that, they crunch lots of data and do statistics, and we're kind of like Gartner Group, but like a Nordic version of Gartner Group, if you're familiar with that. Anyway, I thought it's been really nice choosing fragrances for work. I've really enjoyed that. And one thing I've noticed since, I think this is interesting, since I started working, it seems like the perfumes that I wear feel stronger and that they last longer. I'm getting more out of them, like more hours out of them, and like I can feel them all day. And this is even when I'm not working. So I don't know if it's stress that like I'm just more sensitive or what it is, but like I had a big deadline last Tuesday. I was a moderator at a big conference and I was really working hard towards that. And I decided I needed to wear something that I felt would support me, but that was not overwhelming and that wouldn't bug anyone, because there were 400 people at this conference and I was going to be like running up and down on stage all day and, with like a little headset. And I also had a 10-minute presentation about cyber insurance. I know a little bit about cyber insurance by now. Anyway, I decided to wear this fragrance called Fauni, and it's from the house Angela Ciampagna. It's from Italy. I heard they have a new fragrance out. Actually, I can't remember the name of it now. Anyway, I have to check it out. This is a good house. This is interesting. I've only tried like one other fragrance from this house, which I also think is really nice. It's called Rosarium. And it comes also in a smaller size, but this particular bottle was either out of stock in the smaller size, or they didn't have this particular one in that size. I don't know. This one, I have really loved this fragrance. It's kind of like an elegant tuberose, like bubblegumish kind of fragrance that has a slightly smoky it's not smoky. I don't think it's smoky really, but it has it's kind of an incensey quality. I think there's like olibanum, maybe some spices in the base, some vanilla probably, florals. I don't think tuberose is listed, but they told me it for sure has tuberose, and it does smell like bubble gum, but I don't know if I would be able to say that this is tuberose. It is such a good fragrance. This one, nobody would dislike this fragrance. The only problem I've had with it has been that the performance is terrible. Like it hasn't lasted at all, but now it was with me all day long. But the projection is not really strong. It's kind of a subtle fragrance. Another subtle fragrance is actually my fragrance of the day. I wonder if I have the decant here. I have it in my handbag. I'm wearing a fragrance today from Pierre Guillaume called L'air and l'Eros from Pierre Guillaume, 31.1. And this fragrance is a 2023 release, like it's fairly new. I had never heard of it. I just met up with a friend yesterday and we had some really fun sniffing. But I'll give you the notes. This was a love at first sniff, and it's not hysterically expensive. That's why I'd like to share. I mean, it's not cheap. I wouldn't call it cheap. It's around, I think it's like 110 euros for 50 ml, which is not really, really bad. And it comes in 100 ml as well. But the notes are powdery notes, lilac, tonka, white chocolate, and cacao. And I mean, the notes sound incredible. It sounds maybe like more of a gourmand than it really is. I wouldn't call it a full-on gourmand. It's more of I think I read some article about it that said it was kind of some kind of impersonation of tonka, like tonka, but it's the best possible tonka interpretation that I've ever tried. Now it's a really subtle fragrance though. I mean, I can still smell it on me, but I have to go to my arm. And the sillage hasn't been that great, to be honest, and I wore quite a few sprays of it. So it's kind of a quiet fragrance, but really, really beautiful. It's like powdery, it's slightly floral. I wouldn't have been able to say white chocolate, but there's something really, really, there's a really nice and kind of buttery sweetness to it too. It's a great fragrance, but I've just worn it once, and that was today. I just thought I would take you really quickly through, like, because I have lots of new decants. I went to this little perfume expo about a month ago, and I picked up like 5-6 decants there from this guy who had brought his whole collection there and was selling decants. And then I got a few more yesterday, and then I've also tried some that I already had, and I have some not so successful perfume days that I'd also like to share with you, because I think it's important to give you the good and the bad. And I guess I'll start with these two that I don't think that these were so great, and I'm probably going to pass these on. One of them is Elixir. It's from Guerlain, and it's called Elixir Charnel Gourmand Coquin. And the juice looks like this. You see the color, it's really dark. Now this very same formula has been released under a different name. I think it's called Feve Gourmand, and it comes in these like Guerlain exclusive bottles. But this is just too sweet for me. It's really heavy and sweet. It reminds me of something like the syrup that you would pour over like a really sweet coffee drink, like in a coffee shop. When you walk into a coffee shop, you're sometimes hit with these really sweet, semi-artificial kind of, this is like chocolate, vanilla, coffee. I don't know all that's in here. It's just too much, too sweet. I had to spray something on top of this. I think I chose Iris de Champs, Iris de Champs is how you would say it in American, from Oud, which is kind of like a really nice, basic, kind of semi-dry iris fragrance. And together they did okay. But this is way too sweet for me. Not my cup of tea. Another thing that's not my cup of tea is L'Orchestre Parfums Bouquet Encore. It's way too much jasmine for me. I thought this would be like a really nice fresh white floral, but I think the jasmine just makes it it's too screechy, it's too sharp, it's too like, it smells a little bit like urine kind of. It's just not. Oh, now I remember. I'm just going to spray it just to kind of remember. I think it smells like a designer. It's like it smells like, I don't know, it's designery somehow. It smells a little bit like maybe like a Dolce & Gabbana fragrance, like the Only One or the Only One 2, you know, those fragrances. It's a little bit like that. This one's maybe perhaps a little bit more green than like Rouge Malachite and these Dolce & Gabbana ones. I don't know. It's just not. I like it better now than I did the day I wore it. So sometimes you need to give perfumes more than one try. It's not terrible. I think it's just too much jasmine. And actually, I made a video like a long, long time ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, like just when I had started the channel or during my first year. And I talked about why jasmine should not be the main player of a fragrance. I have to say, I still agree with my own old opinion that is actually the case. Yes, it is. Jasmine should not play the main role. It's just too boring, I think. It's too boring. Jasmine can play a nice supportive role, which it actually does in, I didn't bring it out. I bought my first Bortnikov. I'll do a separate video on that, but it's Oud Maximus. And that one has a really nice jasmine note and really nice ouds and also some animalic notes. I'll get back to you on that one. That's now my most expensive fragrance. I went down south to see my kids, and they have this really great perfumery there. So I bought a bottle. And my daughter actually told me the same night. We went all out for dinner. And she said that I smelled like urine. And I think it's the jasmine note in there. But that has made me a little bit like, I've been a little scared to wear it to work because I don't want to come across as smelling like pee. That's not a good thing. And one fragrance that I really have enjoyed has been actually a Roja fragrance, and it's called, God, my hair looks really bad. I just came in from a snowstorm. It's April 2nd, and we have this much snow. From yesterday, there was none. Anyway, Manhattan from Roja, which is a really nice kind of vanilla tobacco and has a tiny bit of coconut, actually. I'm going to spray it again just to kind of refresh my memory, but it's a really easy wear. It doesn't last that long. Oh, this is really nice. This is like really nice, at really great opening. But it just, I mean, Roja's fragrances are pretty expensive. I don't think I'd buy a full bottle of this Manhattan, but I will definitely wear this decant. It's a really nice fragrance. Then I got two from the house Arquiste. I don't know if I've talked about these, have I? One's called Nanban, and the other is called Architects Club. And none of these, I think, are full bottle worthy to me, but the bottles are beautiful, and they're not that expensive. The bottles are really, like, really nicely rounded, like it makes you just want to hold it. And this Nanban one is a little bit of, I think the inspiration came like from a pirate ship. I think it has a little bit of boozy qualities, a little bit of tobacco, a little bit of incense. It's a like, but it's not a love. Architects Club is like a really nice, subtle vanilla that reminds a little bit of Eau de from Diptyque. This is really nice. This is an easier like, I think, than Nanban, but they're both nice fragrances. I think I'll probably, keep them and wear them. Let's see what else I got. I got a decant of Vanilla Silk. This one also came off a little too sweet. I had like 3 or 4 sprays on to work, and it was a little bit on the sweet side. I had to put something on top just to kind of wear it down a little bit because I just felt like too sweet. But the vanilla is actually really nice. The dry down is better than the opening. If you're sensitive to sweet, you might not like the opening of this. I'll get back to you again on that because I haven't worn it that much. I think I've only worn it once. Then I got Calligraphy Saffron from Aramis, which I have the Calligraphy Rose, which I really, really like a lot. Beautiful fragrance, lasted all day. This one is also nice. And there's a resemblance between the two. This is just not quite as good, and it doesn't last as long. I mean, it doesn't have as much rose, but I think there's rose in here as well. But I'm looking forward to wearing that more. Then I finally got a decant of a fragrance that I've liked for years and years and years. And it's called Ylang Nosy Bay from Paris, Monte Carlo. And I know it's called Nosy Bay, even though it's spelled Nosy B-E. I thought it was like Nosy Bee, like to be nosy or something, but it's actually the name of an island. And this is a really nice tropical, creamy ylang-ylang. Some people say ylang-ylang smells a little banana-ish, and I don't like bananas, so I'm not getting much banana from it, but I can see a little bit what they mean, the people that say that. This fragrance is beautiful. This is a house that I think actually you get pretty good stuff for your money. They've got a great lavender fragrance. It's called, I think, Lavande Romain. They've got, Cedro de Diamante that I have. That was actually a fragrance that I wore recently. I was sick a couple weeks ago, like the week before I was going to do my big conference. And then I decided I wasn't too sick to wear fragrance. So I wore like my lightest fragrance in my collection, which is Cedro de Diamante. I thought it was my lightest fragrance. It's a real nice lemon citrus fragrance, but I found that it lasted all day. And I could even smell it projecting. But maybe it was because I was just still on the couch. I was just like watching TV. And I could really smell it. Like I have a heightened sense of smell. So I was so happy to realize that I'm getting something out of that. Because I usually say it's a 30-minute fragrance, but not anymore, at least to me. Then I have a decant from Parfum Roma, which is a house that I've a little bit gotten bored with. But this one is different because this is called D'Ambrosia. And the main note is fig, which is not a favorite note of mine at all. But I think I made an exception, or I kind of wanted to challenge myself. And I met with some perfume friends down south, and one of them has this in her collection. I asked her for a little bag of decants that I bought from her. We had coffee, and she brought them to me. And this one, I just find it interesting. It's fruity, yet I like it, because fruit is not my thing, really. This has pear, grape, fig, but kind of in a subtle way, and it's all mixed with almond and sandalwood. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting fragrance. It's not super loud like some of Parfum Roma's, not super long lasting, but still good, good performance. So I've worn some of that already. Looking forward to wearing it again. Then I've noticed, let's see. Oh yeah, and then I have another one from her collection too. That and this is a cheapie. This I can really recommend for the money. It is a really good fragrance for the money. And it's called Meharées with 2 E's and a hyphen over the first one, from the house L'Erbolario. I think it sounds Italian. And this fragrance, it's like when you first spray it on, it smells like Lira. And then in the dry down, it smells like Musc Ravageur, which I find really interesting because I don't find those two so similar. This one is, it's a little bit more watery than Musc Ravageur because I've did a side by side. Like it doesn't feel as dense and it doesn't last as long. So, I mean, but it's really cheap. It's like, I don't know if it comes in a 50 or 100 ml bottle, but it's like 40 bucks. It's like 400 Swedish crowns, like $50 maybe. So it's really a good price. So if you're into that kind of scent profile, you like Lira, you like Musc Ravageur, but it's a little bit more gourmandy in the opening. I do recommend it, Meharées. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but then I did notice 2 of my decant fragrances that are fragrance twins, and one of them, these are quite similar. I had never thought of it, but then I don't know why I came to think of these together. And I was just kind of sniffing tops, and I'm like, wait a minute, these are really much alike. And one of them is Memoir Woman from Amouage, and the other is Eau de Mystique from Wesker. And Wesker is cheaper than Amouage, so it could be good to know. But well, maybe they're, let's see. It depends. If you can find a good price on an Amouage and you appreciate being able to get a big bottle and maybe you want to split half of it, then maybe that would be the better deal. But typically, and I'm not sure they come in 50 ml bottles. I'm not sure, Memoir. But these come in 50, and they're around 150, I think, or something. Maybe 170 in dollars or in euros, something like that. But this is an extra. It lasts really long. It's like a honey, spicy, slightly incensey fragrance, but definitely lots of honey, which is not listed in Memoir, but it's funny. I think they're really similar, although this one does not give me the association of honey right away. But when you put them on and you wait for the dry down, they're very similar in the dry down. Memoir Woman and Eau de Mystique. And then I'll just tell you a little bit what's going to be coming up on this channel. First, I'm going to tell you about Oud Maximus in another video. But I also want to tell you about, I have a first acquaintance with Slumber House, and with, I have a few different samples also from Pineward. It's kind of more of a conceptual type of fragrance. I just put a few drops of this on right before I came online now. It's called Revelries, and I put it, oh my God, my skin is like turned yellow from it. I don't know if you can see. But they're really, really oily fragrances. But however, not completely oil-based. But I think that they use like the natural coloring. This is really special. I don't have the notes in my head on this, but it's like something really different about this house. My friend brought several from Pineward yesterday from her collection. And I have a whole decant of, what was it now? Monde. So I think that one has a slightly gourmand quality. This one is, what is this? It's smoky, it's oily, it's intense, it's woody. Revelries from Pineward. I just think it's interesting to kind of dive into a few different directions. That's why I decided to get a fragrance from Bortnikov, because I find that that's like a category in itself, maybe together with Arige, Ladurée. I'm not sure they're exactly the same, but like, what's it called, that fragrance house? I'm thinking of a British guy who does like everything on his own, these kind of fragrances. And then I think there's a Pineward. I don't know what category I would put them in, but I think that they're a little bit more maybe like botanical. Like they're not like classical French perfumes. Like I would never put this on like to feel elegant at a dinner or a formal event or something. This would be more of an experience. I'd put it on like if I want to experience something new. So I'm looking forward to getting back to you on those houses. I'm just going to flip through my, oh yeah, just to see if I missed a few that I wanted to tell you about. There's one from Javoy called La Liturgie des Heures that I have a decant of that actually disappointed me a little bit because it's so similar to so many others. It's like an incensey fragrance that kind of gave me nothing. Let's see if I missed any other ones. Oh, I got to try the Ben Joen Bohème from Diptyque in the old bottle. I don't know. They brought it back, but I think in like a classic Diptyque bottle. And I'm not sure if they have the exact same formula, but that's like a really nice, like soft amber that you could wear maybe when you had a couple hours left to be awake. It wouldn't be too heavy to spray on like at night when you're kind of just around the house. Oh, then there is one more I want to tell you about before I hang up here. And that is one incredible fragrance that I tried I had a sample from Penhaligon's, and it's called Savoy Steam. If you're into clean, like laundry type scents, like clean clothes and fresh scents that are also like really soft and slightly powdery, this is a fragrance for you. I almost want to get a bottle. The perfumer's name is really hard to pronounce. I think she might be Greek. Her name is Juliette and let's see, I'm going to try to pronounce this right. Karaguzoglu, something like that. And this is the Edie. I tried the Edie. I'm not even sure I think mine is an EDP, the one I tried, and it has eucalyptus, pink pepper, rosemary, bergamot, mint, and lemon. And then in the mid, rose, tea, cardamom, geranium, and hedione. And I think hedione is a made-up flower. And in the base, vanilla, benzoin, white musk, and incense. But the base notes are like really subtle. This is a fresh fragrance. It's really interesting, and it reminds me a little bit of their Endymion Concrete, if you know that fragrance. And it also reminds me a little bit of Reflection Man from Amouage. This is beautiful, and I think this might be the kind of fragrance that might make sense to buy a full bottle because you can wear so much of it, and it doesn't last forever. And it came out in 2017. I've like never heard of it. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance, and I think it's still around. Oh, and then I wore Kernel Flower from Frederic Malle the other day, which was a huge disappointment. I didn't enjoy it at all. I think it's just too much, and I don't enjoy those really green tuberose fragrances that much. But I'm going to hold on to it, and maybe my taste for tuberose will come back. Let's see what else. Oh, and another fragrance that kind of was a disappointment. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I was so hooked when I went through them. I had a sample. I went through the whole thing, and it's quite long lasting. So I had it for a good while, and I wore it a lot. And then I finally bought it, and now I think it's really boring. And I really don't know why. I mean, it smells a little bit like Desert Rosewood from Goldfield and Banks. It's really similar to that, actually. And that one I kind of got really tired of as well. That one was so overpowering, though. This one is not quite as beast mode as that one. But it's a semi-gourmand. It smells a little bit like psychedelic and, patchouli from Parfum Roma, but it has like an added sweetness to it, the vanilla. And there's an oud in the background that's not that prominent. I mean, it's there. I don't know. I just want to share this phenomenon because sometimes maybe this is why I bought so many decants lately, because it seems like I can't handle full bottles. And now that I've started to work, I at least feel better about the financial part of it because I sort of can afford it now, but I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. I also wore Amber 114. I got this last summer. I've only worn it twice. From Histoire, I think you pronounce it. I'm not sure you say the H in French. It's a real classic amber, and I'm not sure I could tell the difference between this one and like Amber Sultan or Velvet Amber Sun from Carolina Herrera, or there's so many similar ones, especially in the dry down. But I'll have to say I really enjoyed wearing it. It lasted me all day, and it was projecting the whole time. And it's just a little bit similar also to L'Eau d'Ambre Extrême from L'Artisan Parfumeur. That one is a little bit more floral, a little bit more feminine, a little bit more vintage perhaps. This one is a little more unisex, a little more smoky and balsamic. But it's a good fragrance. I can't say anything else. It's a really good fragrance. Let's see if I want to share anything more with you. I've worn Chanel No. 5 Au Premiere. That always works at the office. I've worn Meander from Amouage, which I really enjoyed. Let's see. Bois d'Azil from Chanel I've worn. I also really enjoyed. Declaration from Cartier I've enjoyed. New Look 1947 was another one of those that I have a full bottle of that, which I think performs really bad. But now it lasted me all day, but with low projection, I'll have to say. I've worn Antico Caruso that I hadn't, from Parfum Aroma, hadn't worn that in ages. And then I've worn Angelique. Brought that out too. This is a perfect office fragrance with iris and mimosa. This always works. Love it. Anyway, I think I'll round it off there. And I hope it won't be a month until I see you next time. I should be able to squeeze in a video here and there if I just, accept that it's not perfectly, that I don't have a perfect script or something. I just turn on the microphone and share a little bit. Please tell me what you've been wearing lately, what you've been watching. Anyway, yeah, see you next time.